£6.2 billion. That is the number quietly reshaping every supermarket in Britain right now. And if your local Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda or Morrisons has started to feel a little different lately, cold or somehow more watched, like something you can't quite put your finger on, has been slowly removed. You're not imagining it. Fewer staff on the shop floor, more cameras on the ceiling, more gates, more tags, more screens where people used to stand. The building looks the same. The trolleys look the same, but the actual experience of walking through a British supermarket has changed in ways most people haven't fully registered yet. And here's the thing, it goes a lot deeper than the price on the shelf. This video is going to walk you through exactly what changed, why it happened, and most importantly, what these stores are quietly doing every single time you walk through the door, because most people are only seeing the surface of this. Let's start with the part everyone has felt. The receipt is no longer valid. You walk into the same supermarket you've been shopping at for years. Same aisles, same layout, same meal deal fridge by the entrance. You grab what you need, head to the till, and look at the total. Higher than you expected? Again. According to the Office for National Statistics, food prices in the UK have risen by more than 30% since the spring of 2022. 30% in 4 years. That is not a rough patch. That is a generational shift in what it costs to feed a British household. Analysts now expect that by the end of this year, food will cost roughly half as much again as it did in 2021, a scale of increase that previously took nearly 2 decades to happen. And yes, if you watch the news, you'll hear that food inflation is easing, that the rate of increase has slowed. But notice what that sentence actually says. It doesn't say prices are coming down. It says they're going up more slowly. The £90 weekly shop that used to cost £65 isn't going back to £65. That money is gone permanently, and everyone quietly knows it. But here's what's interesting. Most people aren't shocked by high prices anymore. They've adjusted. They've traded down to own brand. They've started splitting the shop between Aldi and wherever's closest. They've just quietly accepted that this is what food costs now. What's actually bothering people, and this is the part that doesn't get talked about enough, is something different, something quieter. The growing feeling that even at these higher prices, they're getting less than they used to. And in Britain, that feeling comes in 3 distinct flavours. Let's take them one at a time. The same box with less inside. Pick up a bar of your favourite chocolate. It looks exactly the same. Same wrapper, same colours, same spot on the shelf. Maybe the price crept up 10 or 20 pence. But hold it in your hand and something feels off. It's lighter, because it is lighter. Britain has become one of the shrinkflation capitals of the world. The chocolate bar that used to be a proper size now feels like a snack. The multi-pack that held 6 now holds 5. The tub of sweets your family opens every Christmas has shrunk so many times over the past 15 years that comparing an old one to a new one has become a running national joke. Crisp packets that feel full of air, ice cream tubs that quietly dropped from 1 litre to 900 millilitres, then to 850. Kitchen roll with fewer sheets. Tea bags in boxes of 80 that used to be boxes of 100. None of this is announced. There's no shelf label that says now 12% smaller. The packaging is redesigned just enough to disguise the change. The price stays the same or drifts upward, and the difference is quietly pocketed. Consumer groups have been documenting this for years, and survey after survey shows the same thing British shoppers have noticed. They're not stupid. They just have no way to fight it. The price went up, the product got smaller. Both at the same time. And even that is not the whole picture, because in Britain something else happened to prices themselves, something that didn't really happen anywhere else in the world at this scale. The price on the shelf stopped being the price. The price you see isn't the price anymore. Walk down any aisle in a big British supermarket and look at the shelf labels. On thousands of products there are now 2 prices. The regular price, and underneath it, in yellow or purple, the member price. The club card price, the nectar price. On the surface, it looks like a discount, a reward for loyalty. But stop and think about what actually happened here. For decades, a supermarket had one price and everyone paid it. Then, starting a few years ago, the biggest chains in the country moved their best offers behind a membership wall. The deals that used to be available to everyone, the 3 for 2s, the straightforward promotions, were rebranded as member exclusives. And according to the Competition and Markets Authority, the result is that 97% of British shoppers are now signed up to at least one supermarket loyalty scheme. 97%. That is not a loyalty program anymore. That is the population. Now, the regulator looked into this, and to be fair, it found that most of these member prices are genuine discounts, not fake markdowns. But that finding answers the wrong question. The real question isn't whether the yellow label is cheaper than the white one. The real question is, what is the white label actually for? Because if virtually everyone has the card, then the regular price is a price almost nobody is supposed to pay. It exists to make the member price look generous. And the member price, the price you actually pay, comes with a condition attached. You don't pay with money alone anymore. You pay with money plus your identity plus a complete record of everything you buy. Think about what that means. The elderly shopper who never downloaded the app. The person who values their privacy. The tourist. The customer paying cash who just wants a pint of milk. They all pay more, sometimes dramatically more, for the exact same item, at the exact same till, at the exact same moment. Not because it costs the store more to serve them, because they decline to be tracked. That is the trade that was quietly installed in British food retail, and almost nobody consented to it in any meaningful way. They just tapped sign up, because the alternative was paying £4.50 for something the person next to them paid £3 for. Hold on to that thought, the tracking part, because we're coming back to it. First, we need to talk about the people, or rather where they went. Where did everybody go? Think about what a British supermarket actually felt like 20 years ago. Not the products, the experience of being in one. A row of tills, most of them open, most of them staffed. Someone on the deli counter who'd worked there for years. A cashier who'd chat about the weather while scanning your shopping, because of course they would. This is Britain. Talking about the weather at the till is practically a civic duty. Walk into that same store today. The layout is almost identical. Same footprint. Same number of checkout lanes, technically, but most of those lanes are dark. One staff till maybe two in a row of 10. The rest of that space has been converted into banks of self-checkout machines, and increasingly in the bigger stores into trolley self-checkouts, designed to handle your entire weekly shop without a single human being involved. This didn't happen because supermarkets ran out of people. It happened because the maths changed. Labour is one of the biggest costs in grocery retail, and in recent years, wage floors rose, employer costs rose, and margin pressure from the discounters got brutal. The calculation retailers had been running for decades started returning a different answer. And so gradually, then quickly, the human presence at the front of the store was reorganised out. And every British shopper knows what replaced it. 5 words that have become a genuine piece of national folklore: unexpected item in the bagging area. Here's a scene that plays out thousands of times a day across the country. You go to self-checkout to save a few minutes. The first items scan fine. Then the machine flags something. The light starts flashing. Please wait for assistance. And you stand there next to a machine that was installed specifically so you wouldn't need assistance, waiting for one overstretched member of staff who is currently sprinting between 6 other flashing machines. The process designed to be faster has become slower. The only real difference is that nobody's looking at you while it happens. Except, and this is where the British version of this story takes a darker turn than anywhere else somebody is looking at you. We'll get there, because first there's a human cost to all this that has nothing to do with queues. The last conversation of the day. Loneliness is one of the most widely discussed public health issues in modern Britain. Millions of people, especially older people, especially people living alone, report going days at a time with barely any face-to-face conversation. The country literally has a government minister with loneliness in their brief. This is a recognised, documented national problem. Now connect that to the supermarket. For an enormous number of people in this country, the trip to the shops was never just about food. It was the one reliably social moment in the day. Not a deep conversation, a few words at the till, a joke about the rain, a "you all right, love?" from someone who recognised them. Small, ordinary moments that lasted seconds. But they added up to something real, the quiet confirmation that you exist in a shared space with other people. That someone would notice if you weren't there. When the tills close and the machines go in, those moments don't relocate. They just stop existing. The store is still open. The lights are on. Everything is available. But for the pensioner who used to have a 2-minute chat with the same cashier every Tuesday, the supermarket has gone silent. And several British supermarket chains have quietly acknowledged this themselves. A few have even introduced deliberately slower, chatty checkouts for people who want human contact. Think about what it means that slowness with a human being now has to be offered as a special feature. Conversation in a British supermarket has become a niche service. That's not nostalgia, that's a description of something that was systematically removed one till at a time and never announced. Have you noticed this shift in your own local supermarket? Drop it in the comments. I'm genuinely curious how different it feels where you are. But the changes to how shopping feels are still only one part of what's happening, because there's something else going on inside these stores. Something that would have seemed absurd just a few years ago. Coffee behind plastic stake with an alarm. You walk down the coffee aisle. You reach for a jar of instant coffee, not champagne, not perfume coffee, and it's locked inside a plastic security box. You pick up a pack of steak, and it has an electronic tag bolted to it. Cheese with alarms. Baby formula behind the customer service desk, laundry detergent in cases, chocolate in some stores tagged like jewellery. To understand why you need one set of numbers. According to the British Retail Consortium, there were 5.5 million detected incidents of shoplifting in a single year, and the industry believes the vast majority of theft is never detected at all. Police recorded shoplifting in England and Wales has hit the highest level since records began. The direct cost of stolen goods reached £2.2 billion, the highest ever. And on top of that, retailers are now spending a further £1.8 billion every year on prevention. The cameras, the tags, the guards, the gates. Add it up, and you get that number from the start of this video, £4.2 billion. Every year, and every penny of it, one way or another, ends up priced into your shopping. There's a genuinely grim layer underneath this too. Retail staff in Britain now face over 1,000 incidents of violence and abuse every single day, still several times higher than before the pandemic. The people left on the shop floor are dealing with conditions their colleagues 20 years ago would not recognise. So the security boxes make sense on paper. For an industry running on famously thin margins, locking up high theft items can genuinely be the difference between a store staying open or closing. But here's what it creates in practice. You, a paying customer, standing in front of a locked case, pressing a button, waiting for a member of staff, one of the few left, to come and free your £4 jar of coffee. Most shoppers don't consciously feel accused of anything, but the friction arrives anyway. And research keeps finding the same pattern. Retailers didn't anticipate a meaningful share of shoppers standing in front of a locked case simply walk away. They don't wait for the key. They put nothing in the basket and they buy it somewhere else, or not at all. The security measure creates the exact loss it was built to prevent. And that paradox is what pushed British retailers toward a different kind of solution. Something that could do what the locks do without the friction, without the key, without you ever noticing it working. The gate that won't let you leave. Start with the most physical version of it because it's the one you literally cannot miss. In a growing number of British supermarkets, Lidl, Aldi, Morrisons, Sainsbury's, and others have all rolled out versions of this. You now cannot exit the checkout area until you scan your receipt at a barrier. Signs above the tills warn you to keep your receipt because the receipt is no longer just proof of purchase. It is your exit ticket. From a shop that you walked into freely. To buy food. The industry's own research explains why this spreads so fast. Self-checkout, it turns out, is where an enormous share of losses happen. The biggest study of its kind, involving some of the largest retailers in the world, found that self-scan technology accounts for 1/5 to 1/4 of everything supermarkets lose, and that installing exit gates cut walkaways by 28%, almost overnight. So, from the retailer's side, the gates work. But stand back and look at what the sequence actually was. First, the staff tills were removed to save on labour. Then customers were made to do the scanning themselves. Then, when unsupervised customers turned out to make mistakes or take advantage, the answer wasn't to bring the people back. It was to install barriers, cameras and AI to police the customers who were now doing the work for free. You do the job of the cashier, and then you're screened on the way out to check you did the job honestly. Meanwhile, above the self-checkout itself, something else appeared, a screen showing you your own face watching yourself scan. Camera-based AI systems now compare what you scan against what the cameras see you move, checking weights, checking movements, flagging mismatches in real time. Most of the time, nothing comes of it, but it is running on every transaction in more and more stores every single day. And even that is not the end point. Because in Britain, more than almost anywhere else in the Western world, the cameras have started doing something new. They've started recognizing you. The camera that knows your face. This is the part of the story where Britain stops following the global trend and starts leading it. In 2025, Sainsbury's, the second biggest supermarket in the country, began trialling live facial recognition cameras in stores using a system called Face Watch. The technology scans the face of every person who walks in and compares it against a watch list of people previously linked to theft, aggression, or abuse. If you match, staff get an alert. If you don't match, the company says your image is deleted instantly. The trial results from the retailer's perspective were remarkable. Incidents of theft, aggression, and antisocial behavior reportedly fell by 46% in stores using the technology. The company says the system is 99.98% accurate, that every alert is reviewed by a human, and that ordinary customers are not being monitored. And on the back of those results, the rollout is accelerating from the first trial stores to dozens, and now an expansion plan covering up to 150 more supermarkets before Christmas. Other British retailers and convenience chains have been using the same technology for years. Now pause on what this actually means mechanically. For the system to check whether you're on the watch list, it has to scan your face. Everyone's face. Every visit. The deletion happens after the scan, not instead of it. Walking into a supermarket to buy bread now involves, in a growing number of British stores, a biometric identity check. Civil liberties groups have not been quiet about this. Big Brother Watch called the supermarket rollout deeply disproportionate, warned that the technology effectively turns every shopper into a suspect, and pointed to cases of innocent people being wrongly flagged, confronted in front of other customers, and banned from stores over mistakes they had no realistic way to appeal. And here's the detail most people don't realise. There is no specific law in the UK governing how private companies use live facial recognition. The watch lists are compiled by the companies. The standards are set by the companies. The technology arrives store by store faster than any rules for it. Whatever you think about the trade-off, and given the genuine violence retail staff face, there is a real trade-off to think about. One fact is beyond argument. 20 years ago, the supermarket didn't know who you were when you walked in. Now, increasingly, it checks, and the entrance is only where it starts. Because the most sophisticated tracking in a British supermarket isn't pointed at your face at all. It's in your hand. The trolley is watching too. For nearly a century, the trolley had one job. A basket on wheels. You pushed it, filled it, emptied it, and a teenager rounded it up from the car park. Nobody gave it a second thought. Now look at what British supermarkets actually hand you. Scanners use shop devices clipped to the trolley, smartphone apps that turn your own phone into the scanner, handheld guns you carry around the store, scanning each item as it goes in the bag. Tesco has run this for years. Sainsbury's has its own version. The pitch is pure convenience, skip the till entirely. Watch your total bill as you go, pay and walk out. And the convenience is real, but convenience is only one of the things these systems were built to deliver. Every item you scan is logged the moment you scan it, not at the till, but in the aisle with a timestamp and a location. The order you moved through the store, how long you spent in each section, what you scanned and then removed, where you slowed down, which prompt on the screen changed what you did next. An item you picked up and put back never generated a sale, but it generated a signal. Evidence of what caught your attention, what you considered, and what made you decide against it. And there's one more detail. Every British Scan As You Shop user knows the random rescan. Every so often at the end of your shop, the system selects you for a service check. A member of staff rescans a sample of your bags to verify you scanned honestly. Officially, it's random. In practice, the industry has been open about the fact that these systems score trust. Shop correctly for long enough, and you get checked less. Trigger anomalies, and you get checked more. Quietly, Without any announcement, your supermarket has assigned you a behavioral rating. Most people carrying that little scanner around have no idea it exists. If any of this is landing differently than you expected, if you're seeing your weekly shop in a new light right now, a like genuinely helps this reach people who haven't heard any of it yet. That's the only reason I mention it, because now we need to put the final piece on the table, the one that explains why all of this exists. The second business inside every supermarket. Here's something most British shoppers don't know about their own country. The modern era of retail data globally was invented here. When Tesco launched the Club Card in the mid-90s, the analytics company behind it discovered something that changed retail forever. The record of what people buy linked to who they are was one of the most commercially valuable datasets ever created. Within years, that data was reshaping store layouts, product ranges, pricing and promotions. Britain didn't import the surveillance supermarket. Britain built the prototype. 30 years later, look at where that prototype has arrived. 97% of shoppers carrying loyalty cards, generating a continuous named longitudinal record of their diet habits, health signals and financial pressure. Two-tier pricing, making that participation effectively mandatory. Scan as you shop tracking movement and hesitation through the aisles. AI watching the self-checkout. Facial recognition at the door. Electronic shelf labels quietly replacing paper price tags, meaning prices can now be changed remotely at any moment. Across an entire chain, which makes the infrastructure for time-based and eventually personalized pricing not a conspiracy theory, but an engineering fact already bolted to the shelves. And if you want proof of how comprehensive this data has become here, it is from the least conspiratorial source imaginable. This year, the Office for National Statistics itself began measuring the nation's food inflation using supermarket scanner data, roughly 300 million price points from over 1 billion individual purchases every month, covering about half the entire UK grocery market. The checkout data is now so complete, so granular, and so reliable that the government uses it to calculate official national statistics. Your receipts, aggregated and anonymized, are now literally the instrument that measures the British economy, which tells you exactly what the supermarkets themselves are sitting on, because they don't just see the anonymized version, they see the named one. They can watch in real time millions of households trading down to own brand, buying less meat, hunting yellow stickers, switching to smaller pack sizes. They can see financial stress building in the country weeks before it appears in any official report. A supermarket in Britain today doesn't just sell food to the public. It runs one of the most detailed live monitoring systems of British household behaviour that has ever existed, and sells access to those insights to the world's biggest consumer brands. The grocery store has quietly become two businesses operating inside the same building. One sells food, the other collects and refines information about the people who come to buy it. Most shoppers have no idea the second business exists. They walk in thinking about dinner. They walk out thinking about what they spent. And in between, something else happened around them entirely. What the supermarket became. So take a step back and look at the full picture all at once. Prices up more than 30% and never coming back down. Products shrinking inside unchanged packaging. The real prices locked behind loyalty cards that harvest your data as the price of admission. Staff tills replaced by machines that malfunction at you. Coffee in security boxes and steak-wearing alarms. Gates that demand a receipt before letting you leave. Cameras that check your face against a watch list on the way in. Trolley scanners that rate how trustworthy you are. And underneath all of it, a data operation so complete, the government uses it to measure the economy. Each one of these arrived with its own explanation. Global costs drove the prices. Wage costs drove the self-checkouts. A genuine theft epidemic and genuine violence against staff drove the tags, the gates and the cameras. Competition drove the loyalty schemes. Every explanation is real. Everyone reflects genuine pressure. Nobody sat in a boardroom and said, let's make the supermarket feel hostile. But here's what becomes visible when you look at all of them together. These are not separate responses to separate problems. They are all expressions of the same underlying shift, a change in the fundamental question the store is asking. For most of the last century, the question British supermarkets asked was some version of how do we serve people well enough that they keep choosing us. Service was the product. The relationship was the moat. The question driving these stores today sounds similar, but it isn't. Today the question is, how do we optimize the operation? How do we cut labor, predict demand, manage risk, and extract maximum value in money and in data from every transaction and every square foot? When that question changes, everything inside the store eventually reflects the new answer. The self-checkout is an optimization of labor. The locked case is an optimization of loss. The facial recognition is an optimization of risk. The loyalty scheme is an optimization of prediction. None of it was designed to make your experience worse. But when all of it lands at once in the same store week after week, the cumulative result is unmistakable. The store starts to feel like it was built less for the person walking through it and more for the systems running underneath it. A camera goes up, reasonable. A till closes, reasonable. Coffee goes in a box, reasonable. A gate goes in, reasonable. A face gets scanned, reasonable, given everything. None of these alone crossed a line. Together they crossed it, and nobody can point to the exact moment when. There's a reason millions of people walk out of British supermarkets today with a feeling they can't quite put into words. It isn't the total on the receipt, though that's real. It isn't the machine shouting about the bagging area, though that's part of it. It isn't the locked coffee or the gate or the camera by the door. It's the accumulation, the quiet sense that the store is doing something beyond serving you. Something running in the background in every aisle, at every transaction, on every visit, at a scale that has no precedent in the history of buying food in this country. There was no announcement, no visible moment when it shifted, just one modest, reasonable change at a time. Until one day you pop in for a loaf of bread and a pint of milk, and something feels different that you can't point to. You're not imagining it. Something genuinely changed. For 100 years, the question a supermarket asked was about how to serve you. That question hasn't disappeared. But beside it, another question is now being asked at the door, in the aisles, at the checkout, on every single visit. A question you never hear, because it isn't being asked of you. It's being asked about you. And the answers are being collected. If this made you think differently about your weekly shop, even a little, what's the one change you've actually noticed yourself? Drop it below. I read everyone.